There will be days when you feel unstoppable. You wake up with energy. Your mind is clear. Your goals feel close. You know exactly what you need to do. And on those days, discipline feels easy. But those days are not the test. The real test comes when you wake up and feel nothing. No excitement, no energy, no inspiration, no desire to work. You look at the things you promised yourself you would do, and suddenly every excuse sounds reasonable. I'll start tomorrow. I need some rest. I'm not in the right mindset today. One day won't make a difference. And this is where most people lose themselves. Not because they are incapable, not because their goals are impossible, but because they have built their lives around a feeling called motivation. And motivation is unreliable. It arrives when it wants. It disappears without warning. It makes promises in the morning and abandons you by evening. If your progress depends on motivation, then your progress will always be unstable, because you cannot build a strong life on an unstable emotion. You need something deeper, something that remains when excitement disappears, something that carries you when your mind says no. That something is discipline. Discipline is not about feeling powerful. It is about doing what needs to be done when you feel weak. It is not about waking up motivated every morning. It is about becoming the kind of person who does not need motivation to keep a promise to themselves. Understand this. Motivation asks, do I feel like doing it? Discipline asks, what did I decide? Those are two very different questions. If you ask yourself how you feel every time you need to take action, your feelings will control your life. Some mornings you will feel good. Some mornings you will feel tired. Some days you will feel confident. Some days doubt will fill your mind. Some days you will feel focused. Some days everything will distract you. But your direction cannot change every time your emotion changes. The sun does not ask whether it feels motivated to rise. The river does not stop because the journey is long. A tree does not abandon its growth because winter arrives. Nature continues, and you must learn to continue too. The disciplined person understands that discomfort is not a signal to stop. Sometimes discomfort is simply the price of becoming stronger. You will not always enjoy the work. You will not always feel ready. You will not always see immediate results. But if you continue anyway, something begins to change, not outside you, inside you. Every time you act without motivation, you are teaching your mind something important. You are saying, my feelings do not control my decisions. Every time you get up when you want to stay down, you become stronger. Every time you begin when you want to delay, you become stronger. Every time you complete the difficult task when nobody is watching, you become stronger. This is how discipline is built, not in one great moment, but through hundreds of small moments when quitting would have been easier. People often imagine discipline as something extreme. Waking at 4 in the morning, training for hours, working until exhaustion, living without pleasure. But real discipline is often much quieter. It is going to sleep when you said you would. It is putting the phone down. It is finishing the task before entertainment. It is eating what supports your health. It is keeping your word. It is showing up. It is doing 10 minutes when you cannot do an hour. It is choosing consistency over intensity. This is important because many people destroy their discipline by demanding too much from themselves. They say, tomorrow I will change everything. They create a perfect routine. Wake up early, exercise, meditate, write, work, eat perfectly, avoid distractions. And for 3 days they feel powerful. Then one difficult day comes, the routine collapses, and because they cannot do everything, they do nothing. Do not make this mistake. The strongest discipline is not the most extreme. It is the one you can repeat. When motivation is high, You may run 10 kilometers. When motivation disappears, can you still walk for 20 minutes? When you feel inspired, you may work for 4 hours. When you feel exhausted, can you still work for 20 focused minutes? When life is easy, you may follow every habit perfectly. When life becomes difficult, can you still protect the most important ones? That is discipline. You need a minimum standard, a rule for the days when you do not feel strong. Maybe your normal workout is 1 hour. On a bad day, do 15 minutes. Maybe you normally read 20 pages. On a bad day, read 2. Maybe you normally work on your goal for 3 hours. On a bad day, work for 20 minutes. Do not allow zero to become normal. Because the danger is not one bad day. The danger is what one bad day teaches you to tolerate. One missed day becomes 2. 2 become a week. A week becomes a month. And eventually you begin telling yourself, I used to be disciplined. Protect the habit, even if the action becomes smaller. Keep the identity alive. Tell yourself, I am still the person who shows up. This is one of the most powerful ideas you can understand. You do not become disciplined by waiting until you feel disciplined. You become disciplined through evidence. Every action becomes evidence. When you get up early even though you are tired, that is evidence. When you train even though you are not motivated, that is evidence. When you say no to the distraction, that is evidence. When you keep your promise, that is evidence. Eventually, your mind begins to change its story about you. You stop saying, I'm trying to become disciplined. And you begin saying, this is who I am. Identity is powerful, because when discipline becomes part of your identity, the conversation inside your head changes. You no longer negotiate with yourself every morning. Imagine having to decide whether you should brush your teeth every day. You do not need motivation, you simply do it. Why? Because the decision was made a long time ago. Discipline becomes easier when you stop making the same decision repeatedly. Decide once, then follow the rule. If you train Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, stop asking whether you feel like training. Monday is training day. The decision has already been made. If you work on your business every morning, stop waiting for inspiration. Morning means work. If your phone stays outside your bedroom at night, do not negotiate at midnight. The rule already exists. Every negotiation gives your weakness an opportunity to speak. And weakness is persuasive. It knows exactly what you want to hear. You've worked hard enough. You deserve to skip today. Start again Monday. Nobody will know. And maybe nobody will know. But you will. You always know. When you break a promise to yourself, and slowly, each broken promise affects your self-respect. This is why discipline is deeper than productivity. Discipline builds trust between you and yourself. When you say, I will do this, and then you do it, you build trust. When you repeatedly say, tomorrow I'll start, and tomorrow becomes another excuse, you weaken that trust. Eventually you stop believing your own promises. You announce a new goal, but somewhere inside you, you already expect yourself to quit. That is dangerous. So begin rebuilding trust. Do not promise yourself something enormous. Make a small promise, then keep it. Tomorrow morning, walk for 15 minutes. Keep the promise. Read 5 pages. Keep the promise. Work without your phone for 30 minutes. Keep the promise. Repeat. Self-respect is built through kept promises. And discipline grows from self-respect. Another reason people lose discipline is because they expect progress to feel exciting. At the beginning, everything feels new. You see possibility. You imagine the result. You picture the stronger body, the successful business, the better life, the confident version of yourself. But then comes repetition. The same workout, the same routine, the same work, the same practice. Again and again and again. This is where many people stop. They confuse boredom with failure. But mastery is boring. Ask anyone who has become great at something. They repeated simple actions thousands of times. The athlete practices the same movement. The musician practices the same scale. The martial artist practices the same strike. The successful person repeats the same fundamental habits. You are not supposed to feel entertained by the process every day. Some days, the process will feel ordinary. That is not a problem. That is the path. Learn to respect repetition. A drop of water looks weak, but when it falls on the same stone again and again, eventually the stone changes. Consistency has the same power. You may not notice the difference today. You may not notice it tomorrow. But repetition is shaping you. This is why you must stop asking, "Is this working yet?" and begin asking, "Am I becoming the kind of person who can continue?" Because results often arrive later than effort. There is a gap. You work before you see progress. You practice before you see skill. You save before you see wealth. You train before others see transformation. That gap is where discipline lives. Anyone can continue when the reward is immediate. Can you continue when the reward is invisible? Can you work when nobody praises you? Can you train when nobody notices? Can you build quietly? Can you keep going when the results seem too slow? This is where your future is decided, not when everyone is watching, when nobody is. There will also be days when your mind creates excuses that sound intelligent. I need to feel mentally ready. I need to plan more. I need to wait for the right time. Be careful. Sometimes planning is preparation. Sometimes planning is fear wearing professional clothes. You can spend months preparing to begin. At some point, preparation must become action. You do not need the perfect plan. You need movement. If you are waiting until you understand the entire journey, you may never take the first step. The path often becomes clear only after you start walking. Do what is in front of you. Not the whole year, not the whole mountain. Today, this hour, this next action. Discipline becomes overwhelming when you think too far ahead. Imagine standing at the bottom of a mountain and thinking about every step required to reach the top. You would feel exhausted before you began. Instead, look at the next step, then the next, then the next. You do not need the strength to complete everything today. You only need the strength to complete what belongs to today. This also means learning to protect your environment. People love to talk about willpower, but willpower is limited. If your phone is beside you while you work, you are forcing yourself to resist it hundreds of times. Move it. If unhealthy food surrounds you, you are forcing yourself to negotiate every time you see it. Change the environment. If certain people constantly encourage your old habits, reduce the time you spend around those influences. Discipline is not only about becoming stronger, it is also about making unnecessary battles disappear. A warrior does not deliberately create 10 enemies when one is enough. Remove what repeatedly defeats you. If social media destroys your focus, create limits. If late nights destroy your mornings, protect your bedtime. If your environment encourages laziness, change the environment. You do not need to prove how strong your willpower is. Design a life where doing the right thing becomes easier. But understand this too. There will still be moments when there is no shortcut, no environment change, no motivational quote, no clever technique. There will simply be you and the work. And in those moments, you must learn one sentence. Do it anyway. Tired? Do what you can anyway. Unmotivated? Begin anyway. Doubt yourself? Take the step anyway. Afraid? Move anyway. You do not need to eliminate the feeling before you act. This is a trap. People wait to stop feeling tired before exercising. They wait to stop feeling nervous before speaking. They wait to stop feeling uncertain before starting. They wait to stop feeling lazy before working. But action often comes first. The feeling changes afterward. You begin the workout, and 10 minutes later your energy changes. You begin writing, and suddenly the ideas appear. You begin cleaning, and momentum develops. You begin walking, and your mind becomes clearer. Do not wait for the emotion. Create movement. Momentum is one of the greatest allies of discipline. Starting is difficult. Continuing is easier, so make starting small. Tell yourself, only 5 minutes. 5 minutes of reading. 5 minutes of training. 5 minutes of work. 5 minutes without the phone. Your mind can argue with an hour. It struggles to argue with 5 minutes. And once you begin, you may continue. But even if you stop after 5 minutes, you still won, because you defeated the habit of doing nothing. You showed up, and showing up matters more than perfection. There is another enemy you must understand. Comparison. You see someone online who is further ahead, more successful, stronger, more disciplined, more confident, and suddenly your own progress feels small. Stop. You do not know their entire journey. You do not know their starting point. You do not know their struggles. Your responsibility is not to outrun everyone. Your responsibility is to become stronger than yesterday's version of yourself. Compare yourself with your own patterns. Did you quit after 10 minutes last month? Stay for 15 today. Did you waste 3 hours every night on your phone? Reduce it to 2. Did you break promises every week? Keep one promise today. Small victories matter. People underestimate what 1 year of small victories can create. 1 hour per day becomes hundreds of hours. 10 pages per day becomes thousands of pages. A small amount saved consistently becomes something meaningful. A short workout repeated hundreds of times changes your body. The power is not always in the size of the action. It is in the repetition. This is why discipline often looks unimpressive in the beginning. Nobody applauds the first workout. Nobody celebrates the first page. Nobody notices the first week of waking up early. But months later, they notice the person you became. And they call it talent. They call it luck. They call it motivation. They did not see the mornings you wanted to stop. They did not see the nights you chose work over distraction. They did not see the hundreds of moments when you could have quit. You saw them. And those moments built you. Remember, there is no need to hate yourself into discipline. Some people believe they must constantly insult themselves. You're lazy, you're weak, you're useless. This may create temporary intensity, but it is not sustainable. Discipline does not require self-hatred. It requires honesty. If you fail today, admit it. Do not create excuses. But do not turn one failure into an identity. Say, today I failed to keep the standard. Then return tomorrow. There is great strength in returning. One bad day does not destroy discipline. Quitting does. Missing one workout is not the problem. Letting guilt keep you away for 3 weeks is the problem. Eating badly once is not the problem. Using it as permission to abandon your health is the problem. Losing focus for one afternoon is not the problem. Deciding the entire week is ruined is the problem. Return quickly. The disciplined person is not someone who never falls. It is someone who reduces the time between falling and getting back up. Maybe before, you disappeared for 3 months. Now return after 1 week, then after 1 day. Eventually, you return immediately. That is progress. Your discipline will never be perfect. It does not need to be. It needs to be stronger than your excuses. There will be seasons of life where you can do more, and seasons where you can do less. Adapt, but do not disappear. When life becomes heavy, lower the volume. Do not turn the music off. Keep something alive. Keep one habit. Keep one promise. Keep moving, because movement protects identity, and identity protects your future. One day you will realize that the goal was never simply to finish the workout, or build the business, or read the books, or wake up early. The deeper goal was to become someone you could trust, someone who remains steady when emotions change, someone who does not need applause, someone who can work quietly, someone who understands that motivation is temporary, but character remains. This is what discipline gives you: freedom. Most people think discipline removes freedom. They imagine rules, restrictions, routine. But lack of discipline creates its own prison. If you cannot control your spending, money controls you. If you cannot control your attention, your phone controls you. If you cannot control your appetite, your cravings control you. If you cannot control your emotions, other people control you. If you cannot control your habits control your future. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is the ability to choose what controls your life. So tomorrow, when you wake up without motivation, remember, that is not a bad day. That is training. When you do not feel like working, that is training. When the alarm rings and the bed feels comfortable, that is training. When nobody is watching, that is training. When progress feels slow, that is training. When your mind whispers, skip today, that is training. You do not need to feel powerful. You need to make the next correct decision. Stand up, put the phone down, open the laptop, put on the shoes, start the work, take the first step. Do not think about whether you want to. Do not wait for motivation. Move, because every time you move despite resistance, you are building something inside yourself that cannot be purchased. Self-control, self-respect, confidence, trust, strength, character. And, eventually, you will look back and realize something. The days you felt most motivated were not the days that transformed you. The days that transformed you were the days when you had every reason to stop and continued anyway. So, stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the perfect morning. Stop waiting for Monday. Stop waiting for next month. Stop waiting for motivation to rescue you. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline must become your home. Wake up. Show up. Do what you said you would do. When you are tired, reduce the pace. When you are discouraged, remember your reason. When you fail, return. When you doubt yourself, keep moving. And when your mind asks, do I feel like doing this today? Answer with another question. What did I decide? Then honor the decision. Again, and again, and again, until discipline is no longer something you practice. It becomes who you are. You will still have difficult mornings. You will still experience doubt. You will still lose motivation. But those things will no longer decide your direction, because you have learned one of the most powerful lessons a person can learn. You do not need motivation to move forward. You need a decision. You need a standard. You need consistency. You need the courage to take one more step when your mind tells you to stop. So take the step today, not tomorrow, not when you feel better, not when life becomes easier. Today, because the person you want to become is waiting on the other side of the actions you keep avoiding. And every day, you choose discipline over excuses. You move closer to that person. Keep going, especially when you don't feel like it. That is when it matters most.